Hello and welcome back, artists and designers. We are on our third video, or possibly fourth video, of our Scratchboard, digital Scratchboard technique. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about the technique itself. So I want to take a look at the final version here that I have that we're going for. So up above, we have something called hatching, and that is when you are moving your brush in one specific direction, kind of following the form and the curve of the object. And then I have some examples of cross-hatching down here where you're crisscrossing back and forth, layering up your marks in multiple ways. Again, trying to kind of be semi-consistent about it. And then as you get down here, you have the eye, so you have to kind of pick and choose which directions you want to go with things. And over with the sphere, kind of the same thing. You want to follow the form. There's not always one exact right way to do it, but there definitely are going to be ways that you do Scratchboard that aren't going to enhance the overall look. So it really does take some time and patience to build up. So let's go over a couple quick things here. I'm going to go back over to my practice worksheet, and of course I'm working with my Scratchboard brush that I just made here. First off, zooming in and out is really helpful, so Control plus, Command plus minus, and then when you are zoomed in, if you hold the space bar, you get that pan option, which is really nice. And as long as you have a more recent version of Photoshop, we should be able to have the rotate feature. So if you hit the R on the keyboard, you can kind of temporarily rotate so that you can get the right angle on whatever it is that you're trying to kind of adjust and scratch here. So let's zoom back out for a second. So a couple things to avoid. When you are working on this, first off, it is going to take some time. So as I start scratching here, oops, I got to switch back over to the right value. I'm going to start working my way across, making some little marks here, not pressing very hard. And again, it kind of takes some time. We tend to want to work very formulaically, right down in a particular row or something like that. And what ends up happening is, I kind of try to demonstrate here, is you get this area of overlap where all of your marks are going kind of one direction this way, and then you get finished in a certain area, and then you start over in the next area, and you get this funky kind of overlap. So when you do have large areas where you're trying to get a smooth, even tone with hatching, my recommendation for you is to just be kind of moving around. So don't always do it right in one area. Kind of work your way around and try to vary where you start and stop your marks. And that's going to be one thing that is going to help you create a little bit more of an even tone on things as you start to go. Okay, so that's definitely one tip for you here as you are working on your hatching technique. Another thing that I do want to mention, yes, it does take time, as I said before. I'm going to go just kind of over here so that you can see, even though this is going to be a dark area. You know, people tend to want to go a little too quickly, and instead of just going in one direction, they want to go back and forth and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can go back and forth, okay, but you're going to lose a little bit of control, and you don't want to zigzag like that where you just keep your stylus on the tablet the whole time. So I'm going to kind of undo that. It's just going to look really sloppy and really messy. If you want to not just go in one single direction, you want to go forward and backward. You want to kind of go back and lift up that stylus at the end of each stroke. So I can go in both directions here, but just be kind of lifting it up so that you're not getting that, you know, kind of scribbly look to it, because it's just not going to be as good. You're going to get these really weird edges. So you want to fade out those edges by lifting that stylus as you work your way across. Okay. Moving down here, cross-hatching, pretty much the same thing. You can work in any direction that you want. I will say that the areas up here are probably going to be a little bit more challenging to do. You would think the eye would be more complicated, but it's actually, you know, it might be a bit more complicated because you have to pick and choose what you're doing, but it's actually a little bit easier, I think, to do because you have smaller areas of shading, highlight, and shadow and everything to work on. So with the cross-hatching, I don't feel like I have to demo too much here. I tend to like to go in kind of a diagonal fashion. I would work my way across like this, kind of start to layer in some tone and value here, building it up. You can be more aggressive, obviously, down at the light end. And then I have trouble going this direction, so I'm going to go ahead and rotate my canvas maybe about 45 degrees, and that's going to allow me to kind of work back this way as well. So cross-hatching will take some time to kind of build that up, and again, spin or rotate your canvas as need be, and again, try to vary where you start and stop those marks, and that's going to help prevent, you know, those weird little overlaps and gaps that you get. All right, a couple more quick notes as we move forward through this. Let me bring my canvas back to its normal state here. Just be careful, as I mentioned, I believe, early on, don't outline, okay? Our gut reaction is going to tell us, hey, let's outline this circle, and then we'll do the shading in this circle. Okay, you don't want to outline the circle. This part, if I bring this back up to 100%, there's no outline over here. This is, you know, it starts really bright here and starts to fade into this dark tone. The edge of this is going to be displayed by doing some of the scratching maybe in the background as opposed to on the circle itself. So really try to resist that temptation to do those really hard outlines on things, because it's just going to flatten out your overall look of your subject. Okay, so on this, it's going to take some time. I personally like to kind of work in a rounded type fashion, you know, maybe doing scratch marks like this, following the form of my circle, and potentially going back over in the other direction as well. You could kind of do the cross hatching. You can see this is going to take some time, so experiment, work on it, don't race through it, and vary your brush strokes and where you start and finish, and just keep following that form of that subject and the object there. So that would be some of the basic techniques that I would suggest for you as you work through this. It takes time. Hide your original image every once in a while. Check and see how your work is looking, how the craftsmanship is looking. Does it hold up without the original image down there? Do you need to brighten up areas, or do you need to correct or fix areas that maybe you over scratched in? Good luck. Take your time. I can't wait to see what you come up with.